I'm ready to prune our knockout roses, and actually I've already gotten started by just going through really quickly and making these much smaller. I love the roses because they're so easy to take care of, but they get a little bit bigger than I expected, and this rose bush when I got started was about 5 feet tall. So I've cut it back to about 12 inches. It's not going to hurt the shrub, it's going to grow. It's going to put on lots of growth just this year. I did it last year and it was fine. It still got to be 5 feet tall. And now I've got all the rough stuff out, and I'm going to do a little bit more fine pruning so I can really kind of clean these up and make sure that the rose is going to recover well so it can start putting on growth and hopefully some blooms here in a few months. The first thing I want to do is go through and take out some of these little dead branches, and there's still plenty of live tissue. So I'm going to take this one that's dead all the way back to the branch here. You'll notice I've also switched to my leather gloves to protect myself from the thorns. Roses are great, but they don't feel very good when they're stuck in your finger. The next thing I want to do is get rid of some of these stubs. I think this is where I cut the rose bush back to last year, and as you can see it dies back to another branch. We're just going to cut here so that the plant doesn't have to worry about cutting that stub off itself, and gives it a chance to heal that wound. Typically when we make cuts like this, we want to make them at a 45-degree angle next to the next branch, and or next to the next bud, wherever it might be, and also as close to the bud as we can get it, or as close to the next branch as we can get it without damaging the tissue right there. Another thing that you might be wondering is if this is the right time of year to prune your knockout rose back. And really the best time to do it is when it's starting to put out new growth, like these buds that you see here. But you know, sometimes spring gets away from us a little bit, and maybe it's a little later than we hoped. It's still okay to go ahead and do it. Now, if it's midsummer and you're thinking, oh, I never got that shrub pruned, you probably ought to just let it grow for the year, or you could prune it back a little bit, just not quite so drastically. You could go ahead and deadhead, maybe take it back a foot or so, take a third of the plant off. Just don't want to cut it back quite so drastically once it's past the early spring.